I hope you guys are going to enjoy this video. Right now, what I want to say mostly is about A Tale of Two Cities. Book 3. It's called The Trek of the Storm. And what a great storm it is, Book 3. Well, one thing that I'm certain of is that A Tale of Two Cities does a brilliant job in Book 3 to telling the story and the rest of the stories of the Revolution. So basically, it boils down into this. First of all, everyone seems to hate the Marquis and, well, at least Charles Darnay. Turns out Charles Darnay is his mother's last name. Evermond is his father's last name. And he is now new Marquis as his uncle, the original Marquis, is dead. With a note here and stop! With a note, as I mentioned in the book, the first, saying that, well, lots of things have happened in France. And that went away and boiled down pretty finally. And later he went in and was captured saying, "You are an aristocrat and an immigrant. You are, on these charges, going to be abandoned and will not be allowed to have any rights at all. You will be considered as a pig, a cow, a dog without any right at all. You can be butchered, you can be killed, you can be flogged. We can do anything to you as long as you are in France." And that's pretty much what seemed to work out well too. Charles Dickens did a marvelous job in doing and talking about A Tale of Two Cities. In this part, well, lots of unwanted things happen. When Dr. Manette goes back to Paris, and from there, he decides to do one of the things that he has meant to do for his whole entire life, to try to do something that is going to make his daughter happy, to sacrifice his own sanity for his daughter's happiness, at least the risk of his own sanity too. Another thing I'm going to have to mention here is that he actually did lose his sanity once when Charles told him about him. We told him that he was an Evermond. Technically, we did that in book 2. However, then this happens. The whole trial thing, and he goes ahead to go and find this little, his friend and his former servant who has been in prison just because he was a servant of his uncle's. And that happens very bleakly and very blandly, too. One thing that's, again, happened later is that he was put into La Force. It's a prison, and in the prison La Force, lots of people are there because it's one of the most securest prisons in the whole world here too, at least in the whole of Paris. And Charles decides to go ahead and Lucy Manette every day for like weeks and eventually months, and 2 hours every day she goes ahead in front of the prison and goes to do the chances of being able to see, well, Charles, and then Charles has a very slim chance, but a very good one too, of seeing Lucy and little Lucy, his daughter. And that happens, and, well, he waves to them whenever he sees them. And that's one of those things that made Lucy grab hope, and to grab it all she can. And while she went on to doing all that, lots of other curious incidents seem to have happened. And everywhere they go in Paris, it always seems that everyone is so obsessed with the revolution. La Force, la guillotine, everything seems to be going on about the guillotine. All they want to do is chop people's heads off because they're like so murderous and so rageful that they'll do anything they can do to kill anyone and everyone just so that they can do stuff. Like, they'll kill everyone from rumors. No proofs, just rumors. Let's say that, hey, there's a rumor that this woman's, well, called this guy Monsieur. Down with all to the guillotine! Hey, there's this rumor that says that this woman knitted some facts for spy work and her dresses to sell to a spy. Like, don't like that. And then, off to the guillotine! Hello, Monsieur. Hey, you said Monsieur, that's anti-revolutionary. Off to the guillotine. And then, like, everything, just conspiracies. From the guilty to the innocent. All of that seemed to happen. At least they could have freed the servants. They were oppressed sometimes. And That's just plain unfortunate things that seem to happen, but they were just that was just plain unfair. They would kill the guilty and the innocent and the bystanders because they didn't do anything at all in this. All they did was like lounge and was like acting like peasants too, and they would say, "Hey, you can read, you're an aristocrat, off to you to the guillotine," like all those things that seem to happen. If you had like a jewel with you, off to the guillotine. If you had like has the ability to read and was a servant of an aristocrat, off to the guillotine. If you had loose connections, very loose connections to an aristocrat, off to the guillotine. Anything that had to do with aristocrats or anything that had to do with anyone, well, that would involve you going and to the guillotine, and that will get you involved in, well, destroying your life. And that is not a good sign. Revolutions have happened. The American Revolution happened. However, the French Revolution seemed to be one of the most bloodiest revolutions of all. Without when those causes when those like meaning, the equality, fraternity, and whatever that other word talks about, before the meaning of those words was lost, well, people seem to know what they really needed to talk about. And people seem to know how they would be able to do it. But they mainly put their blame on the aristocrats. And they had good reason. They worked for with no pay, while they took loads of their harvests and left them dying and starving. And the aristocrats said, "Blame yourselves! You're acting like animals! So start paying, or else you will be animals forever!" It's just like the aristocrats, too. Later, Sidney Carton decided to go to the rescue. And when he went to the rescue, he did this. He bought 2 items. And one, I guess, was a breather, and another was, I guess, a pill. And he was warned to never put these items together, because it will create a knockout drought that will last for a very, very long time. Yeah. And ever since that seemed to happen, well, Sidney decided to use this for his cunning ideas and his cunning ideas of words. And then Sidney Carton went to save Lucy's love and her life and her sanity too. And she did this. He went ahead to Charles's prison. He bribed his way in. And then he finally was able to do something. He finally realized that he looked a lot like Charles. And with that, he made Charles switch clothes with him, ruffled his hair out so that he looked a lot like Sidney, and then made him change clothes, knocked out him, finished changing clothes, and finished changing into Charles's clothes so that Sidney looked like Charles and Charles looked like Sidney, but in a knockout form, and then ordered Charles, who looked a lot like Sidney, out and brought him and take him to Dr. Manette's. Well, that seemed to happen, and he pretended that the guy was drunk, and he slept, and he was drunk, and that he slept because he was drunk. Also, he wasn't drunk, he didn't drink for a while by then. And then he finally went into execution. Lucy was, and he imagined a glimpse into the future, that Charles and Lucy would have a son, and they would name him after him, with, like, Sidney. And then, telling him the story, and made sure that he did not go for a waste of his life, unlike what he did. And what seems to happen here is that he saw that this prophetic thing, and is the glimpse of the future that he thought he would see. And he went ahead, and everyone said that they would probably have never seen a more peaceful look when anyone was condemned to death. And there you go. Sidney was dead. And that was where the book ended, with these famous lines. It is a far, far better thing that I do, that I have ever done. It is a far better rest that I go to, that I have ever known. And I guess that has a pretty big impact on all the things that seem to happen too. And that is all I can say. So until next time, which is the review, I hope you guys will enjoy more episodes, and I hope to see you guys soon too. See you guys. So,